You're listening to Grown and Growing with Sonia Hamlin. What's up, everybody? I've always admired people with great style. People who can take fashion to the next level are definitely artists in my book. That's why I'm excited to spend this next episode talking to someone with effortless style, Lerkia Lee. She's the founder of Modage Style, where modern meets vintage. Modage is an online vintage boutique, personal lifestyle management, and style concierge firm that specializes in vintage fashion for modern day wear. In this episode, we talk about the importance of vintage fashion in a fast fashion world, tips on how to dress for your body, and so much more. Now let's get into this topic. I am so excited to have Kia here on the podcast today. Lerkia Lee.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am doing fine. I'm so excited you're here because I'm just going to tell everybody how we met.
Okay.
And so we met with Black Girls Run. We used to run at 5 a.m. around the mall and around neighborhoods. And, that's how we met. And I knew that you were right for this podcast when I thought back on how we met. We used to run at 5 a.m. and you used to come to the parking lot at Security Mall. And you used to be so fashionable at 5 a.m. Like your little running outfits would match, your tennis shoes would match. And I would be like, wow, I really got to get out of this cotton shirt and find me a matching outfit like Kia. And I'm like, if she's doing this at 5 a.m., what does she do at 2 p.m.? How does she look at 2 p.m.? And, come to find out that is what you do. You have effortless style, and occasionally you share that style with other people. So I'm so glad you decided to join me today and talk about fashion.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's get into it. So the first question I have is more of a philosophical question that I was debating when I was thinking about questions to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is, so do you feel like people are born with style or like naturally have style, or can they develop it? And I'll wait 1 second, and then I will tell you why I asked that question, because people really have style, like really have style.
Yeah.
It's like art to me.
Yeah.
It's like art. And I feel like art is something you just can't teach. It is something that people innately just have. So how do you feel about that? Do you feel like that it's born with it, or can it be taught?
I think actually it could be both. Mm-hmm. I really feel that some people are just clearly coming out of the womb stylish. And then I feel that there are some people who can be inspired by fashion and style. And then there's this other special group of individuals who pay people to make them have this style. So it's really all in what you make it. I know, for example, there are times where an experience or a person's mood or the environment that they're in can inspire one's style. So I think it's all subjective at the end of the day, because what my style may not resonate with someone else, so it's definitely a personal preference, but I do think that it could be both. You could be born with style, and then style can be taught to you, or you can be inspired by someone else's style. So yeah, it's what you make it. Have fun with it.
And so what inspires you? Like, what inspires your style?
I think what inspires my style on any given day is just how I feel, as I'm approaching that middle 40 age. It really all depends on what I ate the night before, if that little belly is protruding on a particular day, or where I'm going. But my style really is inspired and influenced a lot about how I feel on that particular day, or where I'm going. And then when situations happen like that, where I'm a little hesitant about wearing something, I just turn on music and just let that kind of influence how the look will kind of play out for that particular evening. And it always works out that way. So music inspires my looks a lot of the times.
So do you consider yourself a risk taker when it comes to style? Like, if you think about your style over the years, you're like, oh yeah, I'm definitely a risk taker. I will wear whatever, you know?
I would consider myself to be a risk taker to a certain extent. Like when I was younger, for example, I was looking through some old photo albums of me from middle school and high school and early 20s. And I felt like I was more of a risk taker, but on an eclectic side of it. I've always had a different style from everyone else. And I like that because I never like to look like someone else. You know, there's always a small, medium, and large in a store. I would always try to lean towards something that no one else would gravitate towards. So in a sense, I will consider myself a risk taker. But as I'm starting to mature, I find that I am having more of a comfortable style. You know what I mean?
About
comfort. Yeah, it's about comfort for me now with hints of eclectic accessories and things like that. But at this point in my life, I have to be comfortable.
Same.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about your company, Modage, which is a company that focuses on vintage wear for modern day fashion.
Absolutely.
And I find that so interesting because of the world that we're in now. So right now it's like Fashion Nova, H&M. I think they call it fast fashion. And before I talked to you, I was like, let me Google like fast fashion. And there is definitely, you know, some benefits to that, right? It's stylish stuff, it's cheap, or it's inexpensive, it's easily, you know, obtained, you can get it easily. But there's a downside to that. Like everybody has it.
Unfortunately, there is a tremendous downfall to fast fashion. But to tell you a little bit about Modage is actually a word play of modern and vintage, because that's how I really feel that's my style. Like I love a very modern or contemporary piece mixed with something vintage or from a resale shop that I found. So that's how I merged the two words together. But I am an online vintage boutique, but I also specialize in lifestyle management and concierge services for women who are busy and clearly really don't have that professional eye to curate vintage and resale pieces. I started assisting a lot of women at my job who are professional women, attorneys, paralegals, things of that sort, who would always compliment me on like, oh, that's really nice. Where'd you find that? It fits you perfectly. And I'm like, oh, I got this at the thrift store. And they're like, the thrift store? How can we find pieces like this? So I started to understand that there was a need for that. And a lot of people do resell and vintage shop, not because they have to. It's a sport. You know, it's a passion. It's a hobby for women who like to purchase one-of-a-kind items. So I kind of monopolized off of that and created a company that provided that service to women who required that need. So our goal is really to provide a sustainable environment. And I'm all about reducing, recycling, and reusing pieces that we currently have in our wardrobe, because it kind of bounces back to the whole fast fashion. I don't know why I can't say that. Fast fashion, because that there is doing a disservice to our planet. Tons of clothes are being transported to illegal desert landmines in Europe and all other communities, and the clothes are just sitting there. And that's not a good thing, because a lot of women, I know I used to be one of them, I would buy something and it would be considered like a one-hit wonder, and then I'll throw it away, or it'll be discarded or something. And then when I started doing research, I noticed that there are these landfills in the world full of unwanted goods. And I wanted to ask myself, like, how could I make a difference in my carbon footprints? And that's what really kicked up, I guess, the gear of me understanding what role I needed to play to make sure that the planet as far as I'm concerned, I did my part in ensuring that I left the impressionable mark on it. So I am all for recycling, reducing my carbon footprints, as well as recycle. Did I say recycle? Reduce and reducing my fast fashion waste. So yes,
well,
and
you know what?
I promote that all the time.
I think that that's awesome because you don't think about that. You know, and I always, when I'm in stores, I always ask myself, especially when I see ugly stuff, I'm like, where do they put all the ugly clothes in this store? Because not everybody's going to buy this stuff. I know I used to work at TJ Maxx when I was a teenager. So I do know some of it ends up there. But even at TJ Maxx, I'm like, okay, well, what do you do with it? And to come to find out that these clothes are, you know, sitting in landfills, that they're not being recycled, that they're, I mean, it's just, I was just shocked by it. And not to, you know, we definitely don't want to shame people into, you know, saying you can't buy from H&M and you can't buy. But I think having a more mindful use of how you use it and what you use it for. Just think about what happens to your clothes after you give them. You assume once you give them to the Goodwill, that's it. But what does the Goodwill do with them after they're gone? So after they just sit there. So I think that's awesome. I feel like, so one of my questions to you is, how do you identify, you said shopping in a thrift store or a vintage store is like a sport. And it is, because everybody ain't able, like I'm not able. So how are you able? And there's so much stuff in there. There's stuff in there. And so how do you understand what's a quality piece and what's something that's just, you know, because some people look like they shop secondhand. And other people look like they found, you know, gold in there.
So again, I guess a takeaway from our conversation is, now when you go into the store with your daughter and you ask yourself this question, is this an ethical way of shopping? Am I shopping ethically, right? And if you feel that there is 1 ounce of doubt, then you're not shopping ethically, right? So that's what I have kind of promoted for my clients, to make sure that when they are shopping, however or whatever that looks like, just make sure that even looking at the label to see how that product was made. Like, I found a faux pair of vegan leather leggings that was made out of something that was already recycled. Like, my yoga mats now are made out of cork. Like, I am so intentional about how I purchase items now. So that could be a great takeaway from, you know, this conversation, and for the individuals who will be listening to this conversation later.
You say shop ethically, and that actually reminded me. And I'm like, put some more thought into how are you going to use this piece? How are you going to have it? And it actually reminded me of Marie Kondo when she says, look at your pieces, and if they don't spark joy, if you don't absolutely love it, then maybe you shouldn't buy it.
Exactly.
And I know I buy a lot of stuff that I don't love.
Well, it happens, you know, it happens to the best of us. Luckily now, my daughter, I kind of give her all of the things that I no longer wear, and she definitely knows how to remix them or reconstruct them. She's a little smaller than me, but you know, a lot of the pieces they like to wear a little oversized, and she'll take the arms off and add a different sleeve to it. So it's almost like she's taking pieces that I provided to her to kind of remix it to make it her very own. So sometimes I don't feel bad about buying things and never really wearing them. I'll just be like, oh, I'll just give them to her and she'll do what she does with them, and then she'll sell them or do whatever. I just don't want to just throw them or discard them, and understand where they may kind of finally reside. That kind of breaks my heart, but I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So do you find when you're vintage shopping, do you find, or do you kind of hone in on more quality pieces? How do you determine, you know, whether you're buying do you focus on quality when you're buying, or do you just look for something that you like?
Okay, so I am now in this process of doing this minimalistic approach in 2022. So I'm all about quality versus quantity. And when I am vintage shopping, I'm always looking for a piece that speaks to me, that could possibly promote a conversation, that kind of speaks to me. So I am looking for quality pieces, whether the buttons, the quality of the buttons, are they heavy? Are they plastic? The quality of the coat, is this really wool? Is this a fur? I'm always looking for those quality pieces that clearly are dated from like the 50s. And here we are in 2022, and they're still preserved to perfection. So I personally, when I shop, I'm looking for pieces that have no imperfections, no tears, no holes, smells right. It doesn't necessarily have to fit me perfectly. And we could talk about that later, about alterations and things like that. But I do look for key pieces. And another step that I take when purchasing vintage is I try to Google the name that's on the label to obtain additional information about that piece. Do a quick Google to see if there are pictures of it. But yeah, I do shop for quality for vintage. And depending on where you're shopping for this vintage, because I do shop locally and abroad, it could be just as expensive as shopping for normal retail pieces.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the difference between vintage shopping and doing resale shopping in a thrift store. Mm-hmm.
And so you, one of the aspects of your business is to take women to vintage shopping in New York City.
Yes.
That's something I plan on taking advantage of.
You should. You should. And that's another way for a lot of my clients to get their feet wet in vintage and resale shopping. And it basically all started with an idea at my desk at work about how can I provide a service to women who clearly may have small children and have family and want to do something different throughout the week. So I wrote down notes, and then I called Goodwill of DC and asked them if I could schedule a meeting. Remind you, like, I manifested this. I had no idea what I was doing, but it was something on my heart that I wanted to provide to my clients. And my first style tours were based with Goodwill DC. And we would visit about 4 to 5 stores, and Goodwill will give us like a 25% off discount in the store. And I got a nice limo bus with snacks, and we would play like vintage movies, and we would just start in DC and end all the way up in Northern Virginia, and did it for a day. And then from there, I said, well, let me step it up a bit and we'll head to New York. And New York, as you know, if you didn't know, they always have unique quality pieces. And I wanted to share, a lot of the places that I love to shop personally with my clients. So that's how I created the Modage Fashion Tour bus events. And they've been so successful. And I started those back in 2013.
Wow. So you've been doing them for a while.
I have. The pandemic kind of put a hold on them for me, but I did host one back in October of last year, and I had a really good turnout. I believe we had 28 women on the bus. I still wanted some social distancing going on. I required everyone to provide their vaccination credentials because at that time they were required in New York. So everyone was safe, they still had some distance in between them. And we just had a really good day. And the goal was to find nice pieces, but also shop ethical. And that's what we all did. Yeah, it was a day of ethical shopping.
I love that idea. I love that. Even though I would be totally lost, I'd be like, Kia, what about this? What about this? So let's get into some tips because first of all, I need them.
Okay.
I need them this is for myself first.
Okay.
Everybody else can pick up some stuff. I would like that too. But so one of the things that I struggle with, first of all, it's so funny about fashion when I think back about of how my fashion has evolved over the years. It's always been based on my body shape, my body size, how I feel. And at every stage in my 20s, I was pretty good in my 20s, but I thought my legs were too skinny. In my 30s, I was like, oh, my thighs are not as skinny. What happened? And then, then I had kids, and then, your body changes and evolves. And I just turned 44 on Monday.
Happy birthday, sis.
44. Yes. And, I've noticed that it used to be that I could like diet, like, okay, I know I'm going here. I need to lose 10 pounds. All I need to do is a little bit of keto for 2 weeks. Though that 10 pounds is gone, I can fit in my clothes. That is no longer the case. That is no longer the case. My body is not responding the way it used to be. So I was already a curvy person anyway. I have, butt, I have boobs, and I'm tall. And so, shopping has always been a challenge. I have very long arms. And so it's always been challenging for me. Now, when people go out and get these BBLs, I'm always like, now how are you going to find pants? Because I have been struggling with pants my entire life. And you go out and buy a booty and that's huge. And now how are you going to find pants? So I just want to talk about some tips on, what people can do to feel comfortable shopping in the body that they have now.
Yeah. Well, what I'm actually finding is that a lot of people are embracing their sizes at this point. And I too have struggled with, self-image with the pandemic, putting on a few additional pounds and really not feeling like myself. But I had to really go internally and really understand that despite where you are at this time, you need to love every stage, whether you're
right,
a little curvy, skinny, what have you. And a lot of that plays because we're so accustomed to looking one way or going into the store and usually purchasing a pair of 8s. You get them home, they're not fitting because you're in a 12 now, and that's okay, right? So what I tell my clients now, we're just going to dress for the body that we have at this particular point. Right. And I also encourage them, we're not going to spend a whole lot of money on these because you mentioned to me that you're working hard to get back into what you normally would wear or purchase. And if you don't get there next week, next month, or even next year, we're going to love where we are. And we're going to purchase items that accentuate, what you do have. So when you said you have blessings and you're curvy, that's fine. We'll find you a nice pair of pants. You know what I mean? And what I'm finding now, depending on the profession, or if you're working from home or if you're in the office, there's so many, like leggings that are professional now. I was in Express the other day because I love Express pants for work. I used to love New York and Company too, because they had so many colors, right? But they have like leggings with the elastic at the top. So, if you are feeling a little more love in the ab area, when you sit down, you don't have to unbutton your pants, right? So they're getting it. These brands are now understanding that women are curvy. And we need clothes to accentuate the curviness. So I would say do layers, accentuate your neck, these type of things. You don't have to go super sexy, but showcase the things that make you feel good, and it's okay, it's fine, because I do know that there are certain items that I can no longer wear because, I'm a little more rounded in certain areas, but I just play off of that. So I'll just wear, if I have to go out, I'll wear a nice cardigan that may have some type of embellishment that takes away from the tummy area, Or I would wear a nice pair of slacks that maybe flare out at the bottom to make me look like I'm a little taller, So it's the small changes that you can make that clearly makes a difference overall. Mm-hmm. The most important, and I cannot stress this enough, if in fact you want a sleek and defined look, you must invest in great undergarments and you must invest in great shapewear. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying the little things that you might can find on clearance somewhere or sometimes online. You have to go into a reputable store and find something that works for your body. And sometimes it may not be a small, medium, or large type of thing. There are stores out here that really provide a service of making sure that the garments that you're putting on underneath your clothes provide you with that sleek and professional look. So I cannot stress that enough. From the bras,
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Bras, panties, girdles, waist trainers, whatever. Just make sure that it works for you.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because even, in thinking about questions for this, everything was, I focused on like, well, if you on the outside, but you're right. It does start with having proper undergarments. It makes a difference. Like, I don't wear a dress without Spanx.
Absolutely.
Or I can't do it.
Mhm.
But you're right. It has to be quality because it fits better and it doesn't roll, and you have to
Yes.
figure out what you're comfortable in. But
Yes.
so right. And so many women wear the wrong size bra. I used
Oh,
to
I
work
hate
at
it.
Victoria's Secret, and that was one of our lines. 80% of women wear the wrong size bra.
It's true.
And it's true. And I think they said that your cup size changes if you gain 5 to 10 pounds. So it's not
Absolutely.
even a lot, and you should be getting resized for that. And you're right, professionally resized with a measuring tape.
Yes.
You can really get your correct size. And I think to go along with that, one of the things that I had to stop doing myself is putting so much emphasis on the number, or
Yes.
in a bra, the letter. Like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go up to this, so I'm gonna squeeze myself. Those days are over. It's just like,
Yeah.
you know what? It is what it is. This is the size. And when you wear the proper size, you end up looking smaller,
You
even
look
though the
so
size,
good.
yes.
You look snatched. I mean, it just really defines the look. And I tell you, the two stores that I go to are Nordstrom's. Victoria's Secret.
It's 7:00.
I'm sorry, my phone's telling me it's 7:00.
Thank you, phone.
Victoria's Secret, yeah. Victoria's Secret ceased for a bit due to COVID. But Soma, is it Soma? Soma?
Yeah.
I love them. And I suggest that women annually, just like you go in for your physical, your teeth cleaning, all of that, get your fittings done annually too, because things change. And the worst thing you can do is be in a top and you have your little humps. And I saw a woman like that today at the post office, and I'm like, no, sis, no.
You want to say that. I am team get back in it. I'm gonna get back in this.
And you can, and you will. You can and you will. And that's why I say, if items become too big in their quality and they're an investment piece, which I love, there's always a seamstress, there's always a tailor that can make things happen. And I actually saw a friend who had a dress that was vintage that was too small, because usually vintage items are really catered towards smaller women, 00s, all the way up to a 6, right? So this amazing seamstress that she found in downtown DC put an extra panel in the dress that complemented the pre-existing fabric, just to open up the waist for her a little bit more. So the sky is the limit when it comes to doing things like that.
And let's talk about seamstress, because I never thought about how you can incorporate them into your wardrobe. So you have long arms. Mm-hmm. So is that something that, like, if I wanted, and so wearing tailored shirts are always an issue because they, stop above my wrist, and so I can go to a tailor to get those.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Or
even
or everything, just do your due diligence to ensure that the person that you're going to is knowledgeable in doing alterations. But to be honest with you, I've never had an issue with any seamstress who worked in the dry cleaners that I took my clothes to, and I did that a lot. Like, I would buy clothes that could be 2 or 3 sizes big, and by the time she finished with them, it fit me to perfection. So yeah.
In the last episode, I talked about ease and doing things to make your life easy. I feel like incorporating a seamstress, I never really thought about that. And you could make anything, fit to your body, right? Everybody has things that, nobody is the exact same size, and things don't fit exactly right. And so you can use a seamstress to make sure things are fitting you correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You need to have it in your phone. Have a seamstress or someone in your phone to help you.
And not just for professional occasions, not when you're just going out to a gala. You can have it for your everyday life.
Yeah. I've even had items that I purchased thrift store, $6 or $7. I've taken it and had it altered, but I also know that that's going to be an investment piece for me. So if it was too big in the waist, I would just go and have it altered, and it fits perfectly. Unfortunately, I'm working from home, so now I just wear yoga pants and sweatshirts all the time. But when the world was open, I really did take pride in a lot of the pieces that I had alterations done to.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about women who are of a certain age, who are over 40. So what mistakes do you see when you're out in the world and you see women who are, our age and, out there? What common mistakes do you see people making when it comes to styling themselves?
Okay, so we already talked about the ill-fitting undergarments and shapewear. That's number one on my list. The second one is uncomfortable shoes.
Well, how do you know at first? Like, how do you know? When you buy the shoe in the store, how do you know? Some of them you can look at them and you
already know they hurt before you get out of the store. And I'll tell you a quick story. So I went to Mexico last year around the holidays, November, right before Thanksgiving, and I purchased these amazing pair of like clear sandals. They were so jazzy. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna wear these to dinner and da 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 da. Honey, 5 minutes into walking to the restaurant from the resort, you know that your room to the resort restaurant really isn't that far. Right. Girl, I kicked off those shoes and walked around the resort with just my bare feet. And I hate being barefoot, but needless to say, the reason why I was at the post office today is because I sold those shoes on Poshmark and they're on their way to their new home today. Like,
somebody else's feet.
I can't deal with anything that hurts. If my feet hurt, my head hurts, my back hurts, my soul hurts. So I'm all about comfort, as I mentioned to you before. So I'm pretty lenient on mistakes that women make with respects to fashion, because it's meant to be fun. But if you have the foundation of a great shoe, that doesn't have you walking like Bambi, like a baby Bambi or something. Your posture is erect. You're walking with confidence. Your stride is in, tact. That makes the overall look amazing. In addition to your undergarments, in addition to your shapewear, and just making sure that your clothes fit you. They're not too big or they're not too tight. You see a lot of sisters pulling and tugging and all of that, and that's okay because we're all guilty of doing that. But the goal is to be confident in whatever you decide to wear on that particular day. Just be confident. Just own it. You know what I mean? And be unapologetic about who you are, but just make sure that it fits, because sometimes one size fits all. No, that doesn't work for everyone.
It does not. Sometimes I think that people think fit is subjective. It's a subjective thing. So do you feel like when women become a certain age that they should adjust how they dress? How often should you take a look at your style and whether it needs to be updated or not?
Well, I think that there shouldn't be an age limit on any style. Like, if you feel like you can wear it, if you're confident, remember we just discussed that, have fun with it. Like, life is short. Like, who am I to say that this is inappropriate for someone to wear? I mean, sometimes I go in Forever 21 and purchase like a little novelty tee if I'm shopping with my daughter. I've aged out of all their other items, but a cute little t-shirt or something, because everything's cropped, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I've passed that crop top stage at this point. But if I want a cute little t-shirt that may say good vibes only or something, I'll grab that. But I just tell people just to have fun, like have fun with what you wear. If this pandemic has really taught me anything, it's to just live in the moment, be free, do what makes your soul happy. I'm not here to judge you, but all I'm saying, as a style professional, just ensure that the foundation of it is correct. And as far as refreshing your wardrobe, I usually do that on a seasonal basis, right? For the springtime, I look to see what I have, what no longer serves me, donate that to Purple Heart or Salvation Army, and then I'll go and buy a few key pieces to match or mix and match with the pre-existing pieces that I have. It's a very subtle refresh because, I mean, working in a corporate environment, clearly, I don't really want to go in there acting like I'm walking a runway, but I do like pieces that I know will stand the chance of time. I'll have it for a while.
So what kind of pieces do you consider key? Like, what kind of pieces should people have in their wardrobe as staples?
Okay, so on a professional or like social?
Let's do both. Let's do professional first. Yeah.
Okay, so for professional, I think that every woman should own a really nice blazer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that every woman should own really nice camisoles to put underneath button or Oxford type of blouses. I think that women should own 2 or 3 quality belts in a brown, a black, and maybe a gold with accents of gold and silver.
A belt?
Oh,
Okay.
a belt. You know what? You're not feeling belts?
No, I need a belt. I just never think about that.
Oh, belt is perfect. A belt is a perfect accessory. And that kind of brings us back to the conversation about women who may have gained a little bit of love in the tummy area. Right. So when that happens, like with me, I'm quick to put on a really nice cardigan and I'll cinch my waist to create this illusion that I have a waist, you know?
With the belt.
Oh, well, yeah, a nice, maybe a thick, nice belt. And when you vintage and resale shop, there's an abundance of belts. So I do like to go on the more vintage side. I've splurged and bought a few high-end belts, and those are nice too, but I love a good belt with a really nice buckle that could create a conversation, you know? So those are quality pieces. I think that women should own maybe 2 to 3 quality skirts. I, again, on that end, shop vintage for those. I love a suede skirt. I love a leather skirt. I love a nice wool plaid skirt that maybe have a really nice color. I think that women should own quality tights, you know, because tights are still
right. Tights are everything
they are essential when you're in the office. You know, I know some women go bare-legged, and that's fine too if it's the spring or summertime, but nice quality tights and really nice shoes, a nice pair of pumps, a nice flat shoe, a bootie, and a tall boot. Those are just the basic essentials that I think every professional woman should own, in a really quality purse and nice work tote.
Mm-hmm. And when you say I don't mean to sound flippant, but when you say quality, is it like the weight of it? Is it the stitching in it? Like what are you looking for to give you clues that something is quality?
It's just a nice, I mean, because let me tell you, I've complimented women and I'm like, your bag is to die for. Oh, I got it from Target. Quality to me is just taking care of it. You know what I mean? It could be from anywhere as long as it looks nice and it doesn't have a lot of imperfections. It's not beat up. The strap isn't all frazzled. And if that happens, like, no judgment. I understand that all of us are in different phases of our life. Right, for sure. But, you know, we as sisters also working in this corporate environment, we're looked at a little differently than others. So I always try to ensure, like, you don't have to break the bank to look nice, but just be mindful to really just take care of the pieces that you have, whether you pay $5 for it or $500 for it, take care of it, you know, because that, again, overall adds to the whole confidence factor when you're presenting yourself to the world.
Take care of your clothes. And that's so true. That's so real. And I'm glad you said that, because then you're not stuck trying to spend outside of your budget if you don't have the budget, or trying to figure out, is this the quality thing? But if you take care of the things that you have, then you don't have to worry about whether, you know, it could just look like you paid a lot of money for it, even if you didn't. And so then I think, you know, it still goes back to picking pieces that you love.
Exactly.
That you absolutely love, because then you're more inclined to take care of them.
Yeah. And there are like so many outlets. Like my mom and I, we love to go over to Clarksburg outlet, like almost going towards Frederick. And they have some of the most notable brands. And they have their outlets. So you can go and spend like $150 on a bag that you'll have for 3 or 4 years. And again, a part of refreshing your wardrobe is also having a nice cobbler, the person who takes care of your shoes that you've invested in. They can shine your bags up for you, breathe new air into these pieces for you, and then you'll have them. I do it all the time. I have 2 or 3 book bags that I take, and I'm like, can you just tidy these up? Because, you know, if you're on public transportation, you sometimes put your bag between your legs and it gets dusty, or sometimes you just need TLC, just like with everything else. But having a good cobbler and having an amazing person to do your alterations, those 2 people that you have on your squad will really help you with ensuring that you're maintaining the integrity of your quality pieces. Yeah. These are investment pieces.
I didn't realize, I think I'm glad you said that about cleaning and updating and just, getting your purses refreshed. Cause I never thought about that either.
Yeah.
I've taken shoes to get like new heels and to like get stuffs buffed out. So you're right. That is key because it can make your shoes look brand new.
Absolutely. And you notice that they're not, and this is no shade, but even spending a lot of money on shoes, like I'm finding that they're not really of quality. They're all leather uppers now. Like I love a good shoe where you can hear me coming down the hall with my heels with that click, 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 click. I'm like, yeah, these bad boys, you hear me? Not that old, silence. Like I want you to hear me coming down the hall. I love a good
Kia and her heavy feet.
Yeah. Give me a nice wood heel or a nice leather bottom, and you can put the little adhesive sticker so you're not slipping. Like I love a good shoe. I'm going to spend some money on a shoe in a bag.
Let's talk about that. How do you mix high end and low end or afford, like in your own personal wardrobe? How do you go between the two?
So with me, I will splurge on shoes for sure. I will definitely splurge on nice bags. And I also splurge on nice travel accessories and luggage. Those are pretty much the only 4 things that I'm going to really spend a lot of money on. The other things I'll find via consignment shops, thrift stores, resale stores, or vintage shopping. Like my closet is probably 90% vintage, resale, thrift. Okay. But my accessories, I do like to spend a little bit of money on those because, again, I take care of them. I have them refreshed and I continuously wear them because I'm really on this road to just having pieces that speak to me and serve me, not just walking into a closet with a whole bunch of stuff that is just there just to be there. So yeah, high end for me would be shoes, purses, and travel accessories. Everything else, I could kind of go mid to low range on everything else.
So when you're choosing a vintage store to shop in, how do you know you're at can you just go to anyone? Do you go to ones in particular places or areas? How do you identify a good vintage store or a consignment shop to go?
Well, for me, for doing this for so long, I've built a community and rapport with a lot of the owners. So if there's something that they know that complements my aesthetic, they'll call me, they'll send me pictures. We'll do FaceTimes. Like over the holidays, I have a sister in Atlanta. I love vintage kimonos. Like that's my jam. The robe like Diana Ross. Oh, that's my jam, right? And she knows this. So she's like, I have about 100 kimonos that I want you to see. And now a lot of the vintage professionals are hosting just like you and I are doing. They're hosting Zooms and they're modeling the pieces and we're actually buying the pieces right off of their back. So people are clearly getting creative in how they're starting to sell their merchandise. So I have put it out there to them that if you see, a plaid coat with like mad vintage fur on the collar, I want that. Or if you see a leather blazer or a leather trench in cognac, call me, and they'll do that. So it's like you put these fillers out, you follow them like on social media, and then you just make calls because I have a girlfriend and she's in DC and she has a consignment / resale store called Fia's Fabulous Find, female minority owned, and she'll post things and I will call her and be like, put that to the side for me. So it never even really makes the auction. I get it before the public sees it. So you have to kind of be on it.
I'm going to have to ask you at least if you have some online shops that you like, if you don't mind sharing them with us. And I don't mind. I
don't mind at all. And I'll have that information for you. And there are a lot of sisters who have opened up, the dialogue of, oh, this has turned into a passion for me. Now I'm going to capitalize off of it. And that's who I try to support the most.
Okay. Yeah. I want to know who those people are. So some tips. Okay. I have like 2 more questions and then we're done. So you mentioned accessories. That is one of the things that you splurge on. And I feel like that's where I can put together an outfit. Like I'm not a fashionista, but I could go and say, this is a nice dress. It looks nice on me. I'm going to get it. But I always seem to fall short when it comes to accessories like jewelry and shoes. shoes. I mean, I'm with you. After the pandemic, I just cannot wear a heel. I cannot wear a high heel to save my life.
So sad.
And I don't know. I'm like, is it over for me in heels? I don't, I don't know. But I just can't do it. And
Yeah.
so, what tips do you have with jewelry, with earrings and necklaces are the hardest for me. Like,
For you?
I love when people wear big necklaces or like statement and it's very pretty or colorful or whatever. But when I try to do it, I feel like I look dumb.
No, you don't look dumb. And I must tell you, again, I am a pearl stud or a diamond earring or opal earring, like Monday through Friday, if I'm working in the office. Like, I just try to get a little jazzy for you today and put these on, but you're welcome. But normally I'm a post earring girl, right? I have a plethora of earrings, but for whatever reason, I just stay true to a post. But I say that one thing you can do, and I know you mentioned that you worked at TJ Maxx or was it Marshall's?
TJ Maxx.
I love their little accessories over there. I go over there.
Look at them. I need to go over there.
Really cute stuff. So if we're going on a lower end, like I love a TJ Maxx and Marshall's, please do not sleep on Burlington Coat Factory because they have amazing statement necklaces, especially the one at Security Square at one point.
Okay. I
They
hate
have
so much. But it's so many, there's so much stuff in there.
You're focusing on the accessories, sweetheart.
Just
You focus on the accessories. You don't have to
trust you to go back.
Yeah, there or just online. If you put something in the search engine, like what you're looking for. Like my girlfriend, she used to sell Stella and Dot. Is that the name of it? Stella Dot or Stella and Dot? And just get 2 or 3. Like whatever, what's your favorite color?
I love bright colors right now. So any jewel tones are my favorite. Orange is my favorite color.
So. Orange is your favorite. So if you put an orange statement necklace, like so many things will come up for you. And then you can do what I do is first thing I do is I do the image, right, on Google, and I just look to get inspiration. And I'm like, okay, so if one catches my eye, I click on it and boom, it tells me where to purchase it. Mm-hmm. Etsy is another amazing place to find statement necklaces. Mm-hmm. And these are made by people. So, they put their heart and soul into this very unique piece for you. I would start there. Like for me, investing in statement pieces that that you'll wear a lot, I say that would be a great idea because to have 50 or 60 necklaces, right? And you're only just wearing one, partly because they're not organized correctly. Because when we get something, we stick it in a drawer, we stick it somewhere, then we go out and buy the same identical thing. You have to learn. So this is what you do. You go to Michael's, and you purchase those accessory bust, right? The decor things that they have in the store, and you put all of your items on them so you can see what you have. And then that way you're training yourself to say, you know what, I already have an orange necklace that can go with these earrings. And then it becomes effortless. But when you're purchasing your accessories, try to make sure that you can visibly see them so that you know what you're wearing on any given day. Don't hide them. Set them up in a little closet, depending on how much space you have, so that you can see. And start small and just start going for there. And the blessing is you have a daughter, so she can have fun with a lot of your stuff that you don't like anymore.
She already does. She's probably the opposite of me in a lot of ways. She's very creative and expressive. She loves club. When she was a baby, when she was 1.
Yeah.
One of the things she used to do was we would put her to bed. She would wake up, change her clothes, put on all different clothes. We would wake up in the morning and she's in a completely different outfit. So,
is she an Aries?
She is an Aquarius, like her mom. She's a January Aquarius.
Those water signs, yes. She's fluid, so she's going to do her thing. But yeah, I would suggest for accessories just to have fun, or sometimes just like buy a piece that you normally wouldn't wear and challenge yourself. But also understand that if you're going to wear a statement piece, don't allow it to compete with something else that you have. Let that be.
Let's say. So if you're wearing a statement, should your shirt maybe be basic so that your necklace can stand out? Okay.
Your necklace will do all the work on that particular day, or your earrings. So don't wear really like profound earring and then have a statement necklace on, because they're competing against each other. Let one thing kind of dictate the mood for that particular look.
Well, I'm glad you like post earrings because
I love a post.
I do too. So I was like, maybe I should just that, but
Nope, that's perfect. That's me all the time. I literally just took out a pair of pearl earrings to put these in, but the pearl earrings will be back in tomorrow.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm doing something right with my
You
ears.
are. You're perfect.
So thank you so much for joining me today and talking about fashion. I really had a really good time talking about it with you. So before I go, one thing that I'm trying to ask all my guests, the podcast is called Grown and Growing. Yeah. And I just want to know an area in your life that you're excited to be growing. What area in your life are you looking to grow and that you're excited about that journey of growing?
Well, I am actually excited about my spiritual journey because in November of last year, I embarked on something totally different, which is my 200 hours of yoga teacher training. Nice. So I am in month 4 of becoming a yoga teacher. And I'm so excited about that because within the last 4 to 5 months, I've grown so much, and this is only the beginning. So I am open to receiving whatever the universe has in store for me. And I am so blessed to have had this opportunity to have this quiet time to devote to kind of making this happen. So for me, it's all about the spiritual.
Nice. And what have you learned about, what has yoga taught you about yourself that you didn't realize before?
That I can just be. I am sufficient, I am blessed, and I'm grounded. So that has really helped confirm that I've been on the right path. It's just that I had to really put myself in a position to quiet my mind to see all the blessings that are, coming my way. So yes, just being still and understanding that I am enough in this current moment has changed me profoundly.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me today. You did amazing.
Thank you.
And everybody else, I will see you next time.